What's up, guys? Brian here. It is true. I was a beta orbiter. How did I become more alpha? So I think that naturally everybody kind of goes through this process, whether it's in high school or maybe into college, even where they are a beta orbiter and they basically put a woman as the center of their universe and they really get caught up on this person. And you can call it one-itis, or you can call it that you're friend zoned perpetually, or whatever you want to say. But you might look at the situation. This is a picture of me. You might be like, hey dude, you were out there surfing, fighting off sharks, the surfboard got busted, and you jack ripped and tan or something. You're an in shape guy. You shouldn't be a beta orbiter. Like, how would this happen? So anyway, with in regards to this picture and everything, I got torched by a wave, and this was like the first wave I caught, and it just literally snapped the board. So I had like a pretty decent pump going here, just because I was fighting for my life and was in a spin cycle, getting tossed around and stuff. So when I got out, I had a pretty good pump, pretty lean at that point. So out of all the pictures I've ever had of myself, as far as like lighting and the leanness that I was, at that given day, or that kind of thing, this is definitely in the top five. As far as aesthetically, like kind of where I was. So anyway, regardless of that, in high school, athletic guy, smart, blah, 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 blah. But when I was 15, I started being a beta orbiter to this one chick, and she actually had another beta orbiter as well. I was a grade lower than her. I was a freshman in high school, and she was a sophomore, and there was this guy that was a junior that we were both like revolving and stuck in her gravity well. And, looking back on it, I was just like, man, I was just this pathetic little puppy dog. I was just like, man, why did I act like that? Like this little hyena, just like, you're so pretty. Just please be with me. You look back at your former self and you're just like, oh. And maybe some of you guys are kind of stuck in a lesser form of what I was doing. But just to kind of continue the story, I was her boyfriend for like a month, and she kind of got sick of me or something. And so she like broke up with me when I was a freshman. I continued to like call her and be around her all the time, literally for like, I don't know, like the whole year. And then there was a point where I kind of got upset with her, and I was like, screw this. I stopped kind of talking to her when I was like a sophomore and she was a junior. But then we like kind of became friends again or something when she was like a senior and I was a junior. But I really never made any headway with her. I like kissed her once, and then so like that whole time I never made any headway. When I was like a junior, and then we didn't talk for like a year when she went off to college, and there was a point where we kind of like reconnected, and then we were supposed to like hang out, and we were like gonna hook up supposedly, and it never happened. It never happened. So literally out of the course of like 4 or 5 years, basically like 5 years, nothing ever happened with this girl, and I was just caught in her gravity well, and it was just a pathetic little, puppy dog just chasing her around and stuff. And so going, and she wasn't the only girl I was like sort of chasing this entire time or something. In those gaps, I had a girlfriend like when I was a senior and she was a junior. My girlfriend was like a junior in high school. And then when I went off to college, like we ended up breaking up and stuff like that. So there was kind of like some other experiences, other girls and stuff in there. But really, when you kind of consider high school and college, I screwed up so many situations where I didn't take social cues. There were girls who liked me. I didn't pick up on that. I was getting one-itis and getting stuck on one girl for various reasons. And, ultimately it took a while to sort of just kind of get out of that and not get so stuck and just so like kind of messed up in the head just over like one girl. And the white knights, they'll jump in there and say like, well, maybe that was your true love, Oh, it's just not the case. So it's probably a good thing I didn't end up with those girls. But what I would say, what kind of changed for me, my high school was a really small high school. I graduated with 87 people, and so we had one elementary school, one junior high, one high school, and so we all kind of knew each other kind of growing up. So that kind of messed up the dynamic a little bit there in some respects, and would get you kind of pegged, to a point where you kind of couldn't, sort of like everybody knew who you were kind of thing. You were never kind of this enigma. You're never going to walk in and be the new guy kind of thing. And then in college, I just think that, well, for one, the girls thought they were hotter than they were. And then I was getting like caught up, and I just really wasn't kind of focused on sort of like casting a large net, so to speak, and just, trying to talk to like tons and tons of girls. I was really kind of getting, and there was a lot to do. There was a lot on my plate and all that kind of stuff. So that was another thing. It wasn't really till, let's say, like after college where I really kind of realized how stuck and how like ridiculous I was acting towards some of these girls. Even in college, my senior year of college, I actually got, I was really into this chick, and she sent like a lot of mixed signals and stuff, and she ended up being a lesbian. So, you think like, why didn't you pick up on that? And bro, I mean, we would be like drinking, and then she would like let me stay in her bed, but then she like wouldn't let me make out with her or nothing. And it was just like a roller coaster, just mixed signals, and it really kind of messed me up in the head. And then later on, she kind of came out as a lesbian. So she might have been like, have this internal struggle in her head, of her sexuality or something. I don't know. But anyway, like, that's the thing. So if you're going through being a beta orbiter, it's a really bad situation. And I would really kind of suggest you just like, if you are really stuck on a girl, the quickest way to get over a hot girl is to talk to a hotter girl. Hands down. You go, and then by the time you're talking to her, you almost just forget about the other girl. And then it's just like, whatever. I don't know what she's doing. I'm not really concerned about it. And you kind of refocus your efforts and stuff. But if you're hanging out, if you're focusing on yourself, you're working out, you're playing sports, you're, focused on, maybe it's a business or focused on a hobby or that kind of thing. And then you're also in a social setting where there are a lot of people around. I think that for meetup.com, I think that's actually a good place to meet people that's outside of like getting on, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, that kind of stuff. And it's outside of the bar scene. So you could get into like a hiking group or a mountain biking group, or like a volleyball. Co-ed volleyball is actually like a really good way to meet more people, meet girls. And then, maybe afterwards you guys are going out to wings and like beer and stuff like that, just as a group. And you can kind of work your way into like meeting more girls and stuff. But the thing is attractive people want to be with someone who is desired. People want to be with someone who's desired. So if a girl sees you talking to other girls, she's actually going to feel left out, and she's going to want to pursue you more. People want what they can't have. So if you're focused in on her, she just kind of assumes like, well, I can just have him. I mean, it's just no big deal. It's no catch because she doesn't have to chase you or anything. It's kind of weird, It's like, why do we have to play these games? But it's just human psychology. It's just the way people act. They want what they can't have, and they want other people who are desired. So make yourself a desirable male. Work out, do the whole thing. Don't pay any too much attention to any one girl and stuff like that. And don't grovel at her feet. Don't be like a little snarling little hyena, like, you're so hot, you're so hot. You almost can't even compliment a girl directly unless you're kind of already with her. That's kind of the what I typically follow. Now you might kind of drop subtle hints or something. Let's just send some picture of her in a bathing suit, and you might say, oh, is it getting hot in here? You say some little thing, some little coy thing, but you don't be like, oh my gosh, you're so hot, I wish I could be with you. Like, if you just get too into it, then she's going to be like, well, maybe I'm hotter than him. You always have to make her feel like that maybe she's not hot enough for you. And this can be tough because a lot of these girls think they're hotter than they are. And really, when it boils down to it, they have unrealistic expectations, and then they're actually relying on like makeup and filters, Instagram filters and stuff like that. And so their whole persona is actually kind of like a fraud. If a girl, all of her pictures, let's say on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, if they're all filtered and makeup and stuff like that, you know, it might, kind of fill out the situation. But if that's, she's hiding something. She's hiding something. She's insecure, whatever. She could be a psychopath in training. It's just a lot of those girls is not a good. It's not a good situation. Um, that's my opinion. So as far as um, not ending up in this perpetual friend zone, ending up in a woman's gravity well and revolving around her, don't be afraid to post, you and your buddies and other chicks and stuff like that, partying, post that on your Instagram story, whatever, and then you'll get to see that she's watching it. Same thing with Snapchat. The beauty of Snapchat and Instagram is that once you have connected to them on there, they start watching your stories. You start watching your stories, and not just them. 10 girls are watching, 15 girls are watching, 20 girls are watching, 30 girls. So you're able to just blast it out, and you don't have to, like, when you're talking through text with a girl, you're saying, hey, look how cool I am. Look at the time when I went to Australia. Oh, check out this picture when I went to Thailand. Hey, check this picture out when I broke my surfboard, that kind of thing. And with Instagram, you don't have to do that. They can look at your Instagram profile and they can be like, okay, well, he travels around. He seems like he's having fun. He does this and that. He seems like a cool guy. He seems normal. And then if you keep posting stories about what you're doing, then over time they're just seeing that. Oh, cool. He's out boating. Oh, he's playing basketball. Oh, he's doing this and that. And you get to see they're watching you. They're watching you. If they weren't interested in you, they wouldn't be watching you. They would just forget about you, because obviously there's these other dudes hitting them up all the time. So it's a good way to gauge kind of over time, kind of that interest. Now, some of these girls will act weird. They'll still watch your stories, and, it'd be some weird situation where you try to hit them up and they don't respond. And, with those girls, just whatever, just next them. A lot of these girls are going through psychological issues. They're stressed out financially and emotionally, and they've got all kinds of stuff going through their head, and they don't even know what they want. So don't focus on those girls. Cast a large net. If you're speaking to a crowd and you're hanging out, you're having fun, you look like a cool guy to hang out with, at some point, and you got to take social cues. When you're hanging out with girls and stuff like that, you got to kind of know, and this is one thing where a lot of guys have an issue with. And there's been certain times when I've had issues with it too, of like when to make a move. Of course, you don't want to be too aggressive, and you don't want to wait too long because you don't want to slip into a friend zone situation. So, even the first day, if warranted, you want to try to initiate some sort of physical contact, whether that's even just holding hands, just something kind of light. Obviously smile goes a long way, all that kind of stuff. Second, third day, really by the third day, it should be, if they're hanging out with you for a third time, either you're paying too much into this and they're getting free meals, which avoid that. Keep every date pretty much $10-15. Ice cream days, just like, don't even end up in a situation where you're buying drinks and stuff like that. Sometimes that can be tough and that kind of thing, but by the third day, it should kind of be progressing. If you get to the fourth day and you haven't gotten physical to some respect and you haven't made out with this girl and stuff, you're on very, very rocky territory that you're going to fall into friend zone. And for the most part, there's no getting out of friend zone. Very, very, very rarely do you ever get out of friend zone. So you don't want to fall into that situation. And it is one way to avoid it by kind of making moves. And, if you're going to find out if she's not into it, and just kind of see how it progresses and stuff like that. But as far as being a beta orbiter, cast a large net, don't get too focused. Everybody goes through this process. I've seen very, very rarely at the high school age are there ever guys who have advanced game and don't fall in the friend zone. There were a couple guys at my high school. They would date girls that were like 2 years older than us, and they'd be like hot girls that were, hot girls, and they were like 2 years older. So that was very, very odd. A lot of times guys have advanced game because maybe they had an older brother or something like that, and just kind of some of the older kids that they hung around. But honestly, it took me kind of through high school and then like really through college and everything. I started like kind of waking up. You got to sober up on these girls. You get too caught up. You need to sober up. And it really took me till after college to kind of like wake up and realize I was just being like, I was just being an idiot and I just wasn't picking up on stuff. But anyway, you guys have any stories of when you guys were a beta orbiter, or do you have any kind of particular issue of why you've gotten caught up on a girl or not? Hit it up in the comment section below and subscribe to the channel. See you guys.